ABC7's Andy Shaw is in Cicero with the latest from there tonight. Andy?
Well, Kathy, the town of Cicero, which has a bad enough reputation to begin with, is even more up for grabs than usual tonight, and much of the heat is coming down on the shoulders of the beleaguered town president, Betty Lauren Maltese. For one thing, her former building commissioner, a man by the name of Michael Nisk, 54 years old, indicted today for allegedly taking payoffs in exchange for building permits and also extorting political contributors from contributions from contractors. It is a first in what is expected to be a series of anticipated corruption cases out here. Also today, less than a week after her, quote, reform police chief is forced out and suspended, the man who is chosen to replace him has to step down after allegedly getting too cozy with a mobster.
He is removed from any authority in the police department, and we are going to start an investigation. But I am not going to say anyone is guilty until proven guilty.
It's the best decision for the people of Cicero, for the president, and for the officers downstairs, especially in light of the press they've had. So I'll just step back and let them fully investigate it, and they can make a determination at that point.
Bill Bacon is out as acting police chief in Cicero after less than 1 week on the job, stepping down voluntarily to escape some very troubling questions about his relationship with this man, Rick Lantini, seen here playing a mobster in a movie. In real life, Lantini is a former cop, an FBI informant, and a convicted felon who is on the Chicago Crime Commission's list of known mobsters. Bacon admits that while he was a Park Ridge police officer, Lantini attended his wedding, and they briefly operated a detective agency together. But Bacon's attorney says there was nothing wrong with the relationship, despite a host of allegations.
We're very confident that the allegations concerning Mr. Lantini's relationship with Officer Bacon, upon investigation, will be found baseless.
It has to make all the citizens scratch their heads and say, what's going on here?
Betty Lauren Maltese, the Cicero town president, suspended Bacon's predecessor, Police Chief David Niebuhr, last Friday, and she wants to fire him for a long list of alleged transgressions. But Lauren Maltese says she never would have appointed Bacon the acting chief if she'd known about his background.
You ever going to get anybody to run this police department?
Well, I don't think the Pope would like to come in.
Well, I don't think so either. On a serious note, she is going to have a problem replacing the acting superintendent. She told me privately that she's wondering if there is anyone within the police department who she trusts enough to make the acting superintendent. She will have a nationwide search for a permanent replacement, and she is promising a more thorough background check this time. By the way, I should mention that the chief who just stepped down, Mr. Bacon, believes that his predecessor, David Niebuhr, leaked all this information about the relationship with Lantini to try to get him out. It, of course, worked. We haven't been able to reach Mr. Niebuhr to get his side of the story. Reporting live in the always interesting and controversial Cicero, I'm Andy Shaw, ABC 7 News. Alan, back to you.
You got that right, Andy. Thank you. A student from Chicago is killed when a masked gunman opens fire on a college party.
Cloud of controversy. Bill Bacon took over the Cicero force several days ago. Tonight, he's out after questions are raised about his relationship with Rick Lantini, a known mobster. It's the latest crisis facing beleaguered town president Betty Lauren Maltese. ABC 7's Andy Shaw first reported the story. He joins us with the latest tonight. Andy?
John and Diane, the town president told me tonight she will never hire another police chief without doing a thorough background check herself. And Betty Lauren Maltese is wondering if there is anyone inside the department clean enough and trustworthy enough to take over, even temporarily. The police department's in chaos. The federal government's closing in, and some of the residents are saying enough is enough.
I don't know. It's really scary. It makes you wonder where you can move next where there isn't corruption.
Tonight, at the Cicero Town Hall, the residents pay their bills and shake their heads over the latest controversy. The acting police chief, Bill Bacon, is out after less than 1 week on the job, stepping down to escape an embarrassing list of allegations and disclosures involving his previous work as a cop in Park Ridge, including a long business and personal relationship with a self-proclaimed mobster and convicted felon, Richard Lantini, who had a bit part in the movie The Untouchables. Bacon's not talking about his ties to Lantini, except to say,
There's a minuscule amount of truth in there, and there's a lot of fiction. And in fact, I believe I know where that came from.
Bacon, who was hired last October as head of internal affairs in Cicero, believes the information about him and Lantini comes from the man he replaced, suspended police chief David Niebuhr, who was brought in to, quote, clean up the department by town president Betty Lauren Maltese, who now wants to fire him for alleged misconduct. She claims not to have known about Bacon's background, but says that Niebuhr should have.
I would think that Super Sleuth would have found something irregular or brought it to my attention, and maybe he did know.
Ever going to get anybody to run this police department?
Well, I don't think the Pope would like to come in.
Probably not. And also today, her former building commissioner, Michael Nisk, is indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly shaking down contractors and taking payoffs. The first in what is expected to be a series of indictments against Cicero town officials.
It has to make all the citizens scratch their heads and say, what's going on here?
And they're probably doing that. We haven't been able to reach Michael Nisk tonight, but he appears to be a relatively small fish in a big federal pond, the investigation of corruption in Cicero, which is also said to be focusing on some of the contracts and business dealings of the town president, Betty Lauren Maltese herself, and other members of her administration. In the meantime, she is trying to find a new acting police superintendent, getting ready for a national search for a permanent one, and preparing formal charges against her suspended top cop, David Niebuhr, who, by the way, we couldn't reach tonight to find out if he, in fact, had told the story that led to his successor's ouster. Never ends out there.
Never.
Right.
Thank you, Andy. Word tonight that federal investigators are about to indict current and ex-Chicago police officers.
We know if that's true, and I have...
Tonight, Bob Fusel, formerly of the Chicago Crime Commission, now the Illinois State Crime Commission, says the acting chief, William Bacon, ran a private investigating firm called Federal Investigators with Richard Lantini. Lantini, Fusel says, was connected to organized crime. Bacon replaces Police Chief Dave Niebuhr, who was suspended by Lauren Maltese for not cooperating with her. Niebuhr left town fearing for his life after saying he was trying to attack corruption in Cicero. Corruption, he claimed, reached Town Hall. Lauren Maltese says those are lies, but says someday she'll have a police chief that works. When asked about a replacement, Lauren Maltese said the Pope is not available, but her next candidate will have no questions, no clouds overhead. If all this isn't enough, today the U.S. Attorney charged the former building commissioner here, Michael Nisk, with accepting bribes to help property owners get permits. Live from Cicero Town Hall, Mark Sapelsa, News Channel 5.